Self-help means nothing without this. You can read 1,000 books, watch 10,000 motivational videos, and still wake up 5 years from now living the exact same life. Because there is one thing that separates people who merely consume inspiration from those who completely transform their lives. Today, you'll discover what it is. Let me ask you something. How much advice have you already heard that you still haven't lived? Think about it, because information doesn't change people, application does. Knowledge is one of the greatest gifts available to mankind. It has the power to open minds, expand vision, sharpen judgment, and reveal possibilities that once seemed impossible. A single idea can change the direction of a life. One lesson can unlock years of progress. One truth, understood and applied, can transform an ordinary future into an extraordinary one. But there is a danger that often goes unnoticed. Knowledge has a strange ability to make us feel as though we have already accomplished something, even when nothing has changed. You can read a chapter about discipline and feel inspired. You can watch a powerful motivational speech and feel energized. You can listen to a podcast about success and feel hopeful. You can attend a seminar and leave convinced your life is about to change. Yet days later, your routines remain the same. Your decisions remain the same. Your habits remain the same. And because your habits remain the same, your results remain the same. This is why knowledge without action becomes a comfortable illusion. It creates the feeling of growth without the evidence of growth. Imagine standing in front of a fireplace on a cold winter morning. You gather stacks of books about fire. You study how heat is produced. You memorize every scientific principle behind combustion. You can explain exactly how a flame works. But unless you strike the match, the room remains cold. Information about fire is not the same as fire. In the same way, information about change is not the same as change. The world is filled with people who know exactly what they should do. They know they should exercise. They know they should save money. They know they should read more. They know they should forgive. They know they should stop procrastinating. They know they should spend more time with family. The problem is rarely a lack of knowledge. The problem is a lack of action. Success has never belonged to those who simply know the most. It belongs to those who consistently do what they know. There is an important difference between being informed and being transformed. Information enters the mind. Transformation changes behavior. If what you learn never influences how you live, then it remains nothing more than stored information. Wisdom begins the moment truth enters your actions, through discipline, through practice, through doing the difficult work that knowledge points toward. Life operates by the same principle. You cannot become disciplined by reading about discipline. You become disciplined by making the next right decision when comfort invites you to quit. You cannot become courageous by admiring courage. You become courageous by acting while fear is still present. You cannot become patient by studying patience. You become patient by responding with wisdom when frustration rises within you. Action gives knowledge its power. Without action, even the greatest ideas remain powerless. Another reason action matters is because it creates evidence. Confidence does not grow because you know something. Confidence grows because you have repeatedly proven to yourself that you can act. Every promise you keep builds trust within yourself. Every habit you maintain strengthens your identity. Every difficult task you complete becomes another piece of evidence that you are capable of more than you once believed. This is why action changes both your circumstances and your self-image. You stop seeing yourself as someone who merely dreams. You begin seeing yourself as someone who follows through. Identity shifts through behavior, not through intention alone. There is also a danger in waiting until you feel completely ready. Many people postpone action because they believe they need more knowledge, more preparation, more certainty, more confidence. But confidence is rarely the starting point. Confidence is often the reward. It grows after repeated action, not before it. The first step almost always feels uncomfortable. The first conversation feels awkward. The first workout feels difficult. The first attempt feels uncertain. That is normal. Growth has never required perfection. It requires movement. Every meaningful achievement begins with someone willing to act before everything feels ideal. One small action, practiced consistently, will always accomplish more than endless inspiration left unused. Reading 10 books about success without changing your habits will never outperform one simple habit practiced faithfully for a year. One page applied is worth more than an entire library ignored. One lesson lived is greater than 100 lessons admired. One disciplined decision today is more valuable than 1,000 intentions postponed until tomorrow. So ask yourself honestly, what truth have I already learned but failed to live? What advice have I repeatedly heard but never practiced? What habit do I keep postponing, even though I know it could change my life? Do not search for another secret. You likely already possess enough knowledge to begin becoming the person you hope to become. The next breakthrough in your life probably does not require another book, another podcast, another seminar, another motivational speech. It requires a decision to act, to practice, to apply, to live what you already know. Because knowledge is only the seed, action is the water, consistency is the sunlight, and transformation is the harvest. The world does not reward people simply because they understand great ideas. It rewards those who have the courage to turn those ideas into daily habits. So stop collecting inspiration as if it were the destination. Use it as the starting line. Take what you know, put it into practice, repeat it tomorrow, then repeat it again. Because the moment knowledge becomes action is the moment your life begins to change. Talent can impress people for a moment. Intelligence can open a door. Skill can create opportunities. Charisma can attract attention. But none of these qualities by themselves are strong enough to build a life that lasts. There is something far more important than talent, something quieter, less celebrated, yet infinitely more dependable. That foundation is character. Character is who you are when no one is watching. It is the decision you make when you could easily take the shortcut and no one would ever know. It is the promise you keep even when breaking it would be more convenient. It is the discipline to continue doing what is right long after the excitement has disappeared. This is why character is the foundation that self-improvement cannot replace. Many people become fascinated with the visible side of success. They want better communication skills, greater confidence, financial freedom, influence, leadership, and achievement. There is nothing wrong with pursuing these things. The danger comes when people focus entirely on external improvement while neglecting the internal qualities required to sustain it. Imagine constructing a magnificent building. The walls are beautiful. The windows sparkle. The architecture captures everyone's attention. But beneath the surface, the foundation is weak. For a while, everything appears impressive. Visitors admire the structure. People compliment its appearance. Then the storms arrive. The winds begin to blow. Pressure increases. Cracks appear. Eventually, the building begins to collapse. Not because the walls were unattractive, but because the foundation was never strong enough to support them. Life works exactly the same way. Success built on talent alone eventually reaches a limit. Success supported by character becomes resilient. Character carries what talent cannot. A person may possess extraordinary intelligence, but without integrity, others eventually lose trust. Someone may have remarkable abilities, but without humility, pride begins to isolate them. A gifted leader without self-control eventually becomes controlled by their own impulses. A successful entrepreneur without honesty may build wealth, but lose respect. Talent may introduce you. Character determines whether people continue walking beside you. One of the greatest misconceptions in personal development is believing that external success automatically reflects internal strength. It does not. A person may appear successful while privately lacking peace. They may have influence while lacking integrity. They may possess recognition while struggling with discipline. The outside can be polished while the inside quietly weakens. This is why real transformation begins within. Before you seek greater influence, strengthen your integrity. Before you pursue greater responsibility, develop self-control. Before you chase recognition, build humility. The person you become is always more important than the things you accumulate. Character is developed through ordinary decisions. It is not built in dramatic moments. It grows quietly. One honest conversation, one kept promise, one disciplined morning, one act of kindness, one courageous decision to admit a mistake, one refusal to compromise your values. These moments may seem small, but together they shape the person you become. The remarkable thing about character is that it compounds. Just like money invested wisely grows over time, every disciplined choice strengthens your identity. Every time you choose honesty instead of deception, integrity becomes stronger. Every time you choose patience instead of anger, emotional maturity grows. Every time you choose responsibility over excuses, leadership develops. Eventually, these qualities become natural. You no longer have to force yourself to act according to your values. Your values have become part of your identity. Another reason character matters is because life inevitably tests everyone. The tests may arrive through success. They may arrive through failure. They may come during seasons of abundance or seasons of hardship. Pressure has an interesting way of revealing what already exists beneath the surface. If the foundation is strong, pressure reveals strength. If the foundation is weak, pressure exposes weakness. This is why difficult seasons should never be viewed only as obstacles. They are opportunities to strengthen character. Every challenge teaches patience. Every setback teaches resilience. Every disappointment teaches perseverance. Every responsibility teaches discipline. Life is not merely producing results. It is producing people. Character also determines how you treat others. It influences whether you use success to serve or to dominate, whether you listen before speaking, whether you encourage instead of criticize, whether you remain grateful after achieving your goals. The greatest leaders are rarely remembered only for what they accomplished. They are remembered for who they were. People may admire talent, but they trust character. And trust is the currency of every meaningful relationship. One of the beautiful truths about character is that no one can build it for you. A mentor can teach you. A book can inspire you. A friend can encourage you. But every decision belongs to you. Every day presents opportunities to strengthen your foundation. The world often rewards visible achievements, but life quietly rewards invisible virtues. Honesty, patience, humility, faithfulness, discipline, responsibility, compassion. These qualities rarely receive immediate applause, yet they become the pillars upon which extraordinary lives are built. If you focus only on improving your talents, you may become impressive. If you focus on improving your character, you become dependable. Dependable people create lasting influence because people know they can trust them. They know they will remain steady when circumstances become difficult. They know their words and actions will align. Many people spend years waiting for someone else to recognize their potential. They hope for a better opportunity, a promotion, a higher income, or a breakthrough that will finally change their lives. But they overlook one important truth. The world tends to reward the value you create, not merely the potential you possess. Potential is like a seed. Value is the tree that grows from it. A seed has incredible possibilities hidden inside it, but until it is planted, watered, and cared for, those possibilities remain invisible. In the same way, every person carries talents, abilities, and gifts. Yet those gifts become valuable only when they are developed through learning, discipline, practice, and experience. Every day you delay investing in yourself, you are quietly accepting less than you are capable of becoming. Imagine owning a powerful machine capable of producing extraordinary results. Instead of maintaining it, improving it, or learning how to operate it properly, you ignore it year after year. Eventually, its performance declines, not because it lacked potential, but because it lacked investment. You are that machine. Your mind requires learning. Your body requires care. Your character requires discipline. Your skills require practice. Your confidence requires action. When you neglect these areas, you are asking life to produce extraordinary results from ordinary preparation. Life rarely works that way. Many people believe investing in themselves is selfish. In reality, it is one of the most generous things they can do. The stronger you become, the more you are able to serve others. The wiser you become, the more valuable your advice becomes. The healthier you become, the more energy you have to contribute. The more skilled you become, the greater problems you can solve. Personal growth is not only for your benefit, it increases your ability to benefit everyone around you. One reason people postpone self-investment is because the rewards are not immediate. Reading one book does not instantly transform your career. Exercising for 1 week does not completely change your health. Learning one new skill does not immediately multiply your income. The improvement seems small, almost invisible, but self-investment follows the law of accumulation. Every page you read adds another piece of knowledge. Every conversation teaches another lesson. Every challenge develops another layer of wisdom. Every disciplined decision strengthens your character. These small improvements quietly compound over time. Think about a bank account that earns compound interest. At first, growth appears slow. The numbers barely seem to change. But over time, the accumulated growth becomes remarkable. Personal development works the same way. Knowledge compounds. Skills compound. Discipline compounds. Confidence compounds. The person who improves just a little every day eventually becomes almost unrecognizable from the person they used to be. This is why waiting until you have time to invest in yourself is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. Time is passing whether you invest or not. The question is, what kind of person time is helping you become? Another reason self-investment matters is because opportunities often arrive without warning. A promotion becomes available. A business opportunity appears. Someone asks you to lead. A difficult challenge suddenly requires your expertise. In those moments, people often say, "You were lucky." But what appears to be luck is frequently preparation meeting opportunity. The person who spent years learning is ready. The person who practiced consistently is prepared. The person who developed discipline can handle responsibility. The opportunity did not create their value. It revealed the value they had already built. This is why your greatest responsibility is not chasing every opportunity. It is becoming the kind of person who is prepared when opportunity arrives. There are many ways to invest in yourself. Read books that expand your thinking. Learn skills that increase your usefulness. Take care of your physical health. Develop emotional maturity. Improve your communication. Strengthen your integrity. Protect your character. Build discipline through daily habits. These investments cannot always be measured immediately, but they become visible in every area of life. Your confidence grows because you have evidence of your preparation. Your income often grows because your value has increased. Your relationships improve because you communicate more wisely. Your influence expands because people trust your character. Everything begins changing because you began changing. One of the greatest lies people believe is that they are waiting for life to improve before investing in themselves. The truth is the opposite. Life often improves because they first invested in themselves. The investment comes before the reward. The preparation comes before the opportunity. The growth comes before the breakthrough. Never underestimate the value of 1 hour spent improving yourself. One chapter read today may influence a decision years from now. One new skill may open a door you cannot yet see. One healthy habit may add years of energy and purpose to your life. One courageous conversation may transform a relationship forever. Small investments create extraordinary futures. Remember this: you carry your greatest asset with you every single day. It is not your paycheck. It is not your job title. It is not your possessions. It is you, your mind, your character, your skills, your habits, your attitude. Everything else can be lost. These remain with you wherever you go. So refuse to spend another year expecting greater rewards while making the same level of investment. Choose growth. Choose learning. Choose discipline. Choose improvement. Because every day you invest in becoming a better version of yourself, you increase the value you bring to the world. And the day your value begins to grow is the day you stop working for less than you're truly worth. Time is the only resource that every person receives in exactly the same amount each day. Every morning, whether you are wealthy or struggling, experienced or just beginning, successful or searching for direction, you are given 24 hours. No one receives an extra hour because of status. No one can purchase more of it. No one can recover yesterday's unused supply. Once an hour has passed, it is gone forever. That is why time is your greatest currency. Unlike money, time cannot be earned back. A lost dollar can be replaced. A failed investment can recover. A business can be rebuilt. But one wasted afternoon, one neglected year, or one decade spent on meaningless pursuits can never be returned. This is why protecting your time is one of the highest forms of self-respect. Many people believe they are simply passing time. The truth is that time is passing them. Every hour is quietly shaping the person you are becoming. Every decision about where your attention goes is determining where your future goes. Yet millions of people unknowingly donate their most valuable resource to things that never pay them back. They give hours to endless scrolling, hours to unnecessary arguments, hours to gossip, hours to worrying about problems they cannot control, hours comparing themselves to people they have never met, hours consuming information that entertains for a moment but contributes nothing to their growth. At the end of the day, they feel exhausted, not because they worked on something meaningful, but because they spent energy without creating value. Imagine owning a business where employees worked all day but produced nothing. The lights stayed on, the machines kept running, everyone appeared busy, yet at the end of the day, there was no product, no progress, and no profit. No wise business owner would accept that for long. Yet many people unknowingly operate their lives this way. They remain busy, their calendars stay full, their phones remain active, their minds are constantly occupied, but very little of that activity moves them toward the life they truly want. not. Busy is not the same as productive. Movement is not the same as progress. Activity without purpose is simply exhaustion wearing the disguise of achievement. One of the greatest thieves of time is distraction. Distractions rarely announce themselves as danger. They often arrive disguised as harmless entertainment. Just 5 more minutes, just one more video, just one more notification. Those moments feel insignificant. But life is rarely changed by one large decision. It is shaped by thousands of small ones. 5 wasted minutes become 30. 30 minutes become hours. Hours become weeks. Weeks become years. One day you wake up wondering where all the time went. The answer is simple. It was spent one small distraction at a time. Another invisible drain on your future is negativity. Some people devote enormous amounts of emotional energy to complaining. They replay old disappointments. They criticize circumstances. They focus on everything outside their control. The problem is not that difficulties exist. The problem is that constant attention to problems leaves little energy for solutions. Attention is like sunlight. Whatever receives it grows. If you continually feed fear, fear grows. If you continually feed gratitude, gratitude grows. If you continually feed learning, wisdom grows. Your attention determines what becomes stronger in your life. This is why you must become the guardian of your focus. Not everything deserves access to your mind. Not every opinion deserves your emotional energy. Not every notification deserves your immediate response. Every interruption carries a hidden cost. It steals momentum. It breaks concentration. It weakens creativity. It fragments your thinking. The greatest work is often produced during uninterrupted periods of focused effort. Protecting those moments is not selfish. It is necessary. Successful people are not simply better at working harder. They are better at deciding what deserves their time. They understand that every yes to one thing is automatically a no to something else. When you say yes to endless entertainment, you may be saying no to learning a new skill. When you say yes to procrastination, you may be saying no to future opportunities. When you say yes to constant distraction, you may be saying no to your dreams. Every choice carries an opportunity cost. That is why intentional living matters. Ask yourself regularly, what is this activity paying me? Not only financially, is it paying you in knowledge, in health, in stronger relationships, in peace of mind, in personal growth, in wisdom, in character? If the answer is consistently no, then you are likely working for free. That does not mean life should become endless productivity. Rest has value. Laughter has value. Meaningful recreation has value. Time spent with loved ones has tremendous value. The difference is intentionality. Purposeful rest restores energy. Mindless distraction quietly drains it. There is a profound difference between recreation and escape. One renews you. The other delays your life. Imagine investing one focused hour every day into becoming a better version of yourself. Reading, practicing a valuable skill, improving your health, building your character, learning something new. That single hour may not seem dramatic today, but after 1 year, you would have invested more than 365 hours into your future. After 5 years, the difference between you and the person who never made that investment would be extraordinary. Small investments compound, just as wasted hours compound. The future is built one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one decision at a time. Every morning, life places 24 priceless hours into your hands. How you spend them determines the person you become. So stop giving your attention to things that leave your life unchanged. Stop donating your focus to distractions that never reward your effort. Protect your time with the same care that a wise investor protects their greatest asset. Because one day you will look back on your life and realize that your future was never created by one extraordinary moment. It was created by how faithfully you invested the ordinary hours that everyone else took for granted. Those hours are your greatest wealth. Spend them where they will pay dividends for the rest of your life. Most people believe wealth begins in a bank account. They think financial success starts with a higher income, a better job, a profitable investment, or a fortunate opportunity. While those things can certainly influence your financial future, they are not where wealth truly begins. Wealth begins much earlier. It begins in your daily habits. Long before money appears in your hands, your habits are deciding what will happen when it does. This is why your habits either build wealth or quietly steal it. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are casting votes for your future. Every decision you make strengthens a pattern. Every pattern becomes a habit. Every habit shapes your character, and your character influences every financial, personal, and professional outcome you experience. The challenge is that habits rarely announce their consequences immediately. A single unnecessary purchase seems harmless. Skipping one day of learning feels insignificant. Ignoring one opportunity to improve appears unimportant. Choosing comfort over discipline for one evening hardly seems life-changing. Individually, these decisions appear small. But life is not shaped by isolated moments. Life is shaped by repeated moments. Imagine a tiny leak in a large water tank. One drop escapes and no one pays attention. Another drop follows. Then another. Over the course of a day, the loss seems almost invisible. But after months or years, the tank that once held abundance becomes nearly empty. Poor habits work exactly the same way. They rarely destroy your future overnight. They quietly drain it. One excuse at a time. One delay at a time. One distraction at a time. One careless decision at a time. Because the damage happens slowly, people often ignore it until the consequences become impossible to avoid. The opposite is equally true. Good habits also appear unimpressive in the beginning. Reading 10 pages of a book does not instantly transform your knowledge. Saving a small amount of money does not immediately create financial freedom. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes does not make you an expert overnight. Preparing healthy meals for 1 week does not completely transform your body. Yet each of these habits is planting seeds, and seeds have a remarkable quality. They contain far more potential than their size suggests. Every wise financial decision plants another seed. Every hour spent developing a valuable skill plants another seed. Every disciplined choice strengthens the habits that eventually produce abundance. One of the greatest misunderstandings about wealthy people is the belief that their success depends entirely on income. Income matters, but habits matter more. A person with poor habits can lose great wealth. A person with excellent habits can slowly build it. History has shown this repeatedly. People inherit fortunes and lose them. Others begin with almost nothing and steadily create extraordinary lives. The difference is often not opportunity alone. It is the habits they consistently practice. Wealth is not merely something you possess. It is something your habits know how to build and protect. Think about a farmer. The harvest does not surprise the farmer. It reflects months of daily choices. Preparing the soil, planting the seeds, removing weeds, watering consistently, protecting the crops. None of these actions seem dramatic on any single day, but together they determine the harvest. Your financial life works the same way. Every dollar managed wisely is another seed. Every unnecessary expense avoided is another seed protected. Every new skill learned increases the value of future opportunities. Every disciplined routine improves your ability to recognize and create success. The harvest always reflects the habits. Another powerful truth is that habits shape your identity long before they shape your bank account. A person who consistently saves begins seeing themselves as responsible. A person who continually learns begins seeing themselves as capable. A person who follows through on commitments develops confidence. These identity changes influence future decisions, and future decisions influence future results. That is why habits become so powerful. They are not simply changing what you do. They are changing who you believe you are. Many people wait until they feel successful before adopting successful habits. But the order is reversed. Successful habits create successful people. The disciplined person wakes early before success arrives. The learner reads before opportunities appear. The saver manages small amounts wisely before larger amounts ever come. The leader develops integrity long before anyone offers them responsibility. Preparation always comes before promotion. Another habit that quietly steals wealth is living only for immediate gratification. Modern life constantly encourages instant pleasure. Buy now, watch now, scroll now, consume now. Very few voices encourage patience. Yet every meaningful achievement requires the ability to delay immediate pleasure for greater future rewards. This principle applies far beyond money. It shapes relationships, health, career, character. The willingness to sacrifice today's comfort for tomorrow's opportunity becomes one of the defining habits of extraordinary people. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you strengthen that habit. Every time you invest in learning instead of wasting time, you strengthen that habit. Every time you save instead of spending impulsively, you strengthen that habit. Eventually, wise decisions become natural. Discipline becomes part of your identity. One encouraging truth is that no habit is too small to matter. Many people refuse to begin because their efforts seem insignificant. But greatness has always been built through small actions repeated consistently. One chapter, one workout, one wise purchase, one meaningful conversation, one promise kept, one disciplined morning. These moments accumulate. The person you become tomorrow depends upon what you repeatedly choose today. Your habits are constantly paying someone. The question is whether they are paying your future or quietly charging it. Every distraction has a price. Every excuse has a price. Every disciplined action has a reward. Choose carefully where your habits invest your life. Because years from now, your circumstances will not simply reflect what you hoped for. They will reflect what your habits have been building all along. Build habits that create wisdom. Build habits that create discipline. Build habits that create value. Build habits that create lasting wealth, not only in your finances, but in your character, your relationships, your purpose, and your life. Because long before wealth appears in your hands, it is being quietly shaped by the habits you choose to repeat every single day. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must answer one important question. What am I truly worth? Not in terms of money alone, but in terms of the value they bring to the world. This question changes everything because the world rarely rewards people according to what they hope for. It rewards people according to the value they consistently create. Many people spend years chasing opportunities while overlooking the one thing that attracts opportunity in the first place. They search for better jobs, higher salaries, influential connections, and fortunate breaks, believing these things alone will change their lives. Yet they often ignore the most powerful strategy available to them: becoming more valuable. Opportunity has a remarkable habit of finding people who have prepared themselves. Think about it this way. Imagine two individuals standing before the same opportunity. One has spent years developing skills, strengthening discipline, improving communication, and building character. The other has spent those same years wishing for success, but avoiding the daily work required to earn it. When the opportunity arrives, both may desire it equally, but desire alone is never enough. Preparation separates those who are ready from those who are merely hopeful. This is why you must know your value. Knowing your value is not arrogance, it is clarity. Arrogance believes it deserves rewards without effort. True confidence understands that value is built through consistent growth, honest work, and faithful discipline. Knowing your value means recognizing that your future is not determined by your current circumstances. It is determined by the person you are becoming. Many people underestimate themselves because they measure their worth by temporary situations. They say, "I'm just an ordinary employee. I'm only starting out. I don't have enough experience. I've failed too many times." But none of these statements define your value. They describe a season, not your identity. A seed does not look like a forest, yet the potential already exists within it. Likewise, your current position is not the full measure of your future potential. The important question is whether you are growing, because value is not static. It can increase every single day. Every book you read expands your thinking. Every skill you practice increases your usefulness. Every promise you keep strengthens your reputation. Every challenge you overcome develops resilience. Every difficult lesson learned adds wisdom that cannot be purchased. These are the investments that quietly increase your value long before anyone else notices. One of the greatest mistakes people make is expecting greater rewards while remaining the same person. They want higher income without higher skills, greater influence without greater responsibility, more opportunities without greater preparation. Life rarely works that way. The marketplace rewards people who solve problems. The greater the problem you can solve, the greater your value becomes. This principle applies far beyond business. A trusted friend creates value by offering wisdom and encouragement. A dedicated teacher creates value by shaping minds. A skilled craftsman creates value through excellence. A thoughtful leader creates value by serving others with integrity. Whatever your role, your influence grows as your value grows. That is why personal development should never stop. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn is the moment your growth begins to slow. Lifelong learners remain valuable because they remain adaptable. They understand that every season requires new knowledge. Every challenge demands new skills. Every opportunity rewards preparation. Another important truth is that building value requires patience. We live in a world that celebrates instant results, instant success, instant recognition, instant wealth. But true value is built quietly, like a master craftsman shaping wood, like an artist refining every detail, like a farmer patiently tending grinding the field. The work often goes unnoticed at first, yet every day of faithful improvement strengthens the final result. Do not become discouraged if others fail to recognize your growth immediately. People often notice the harvest without seeing the years of planting. They admire confidence without witnessing the discipline that produced it. They celebrate success without understanding the sacrifices behind it. Let them. Your responsibility is not to impress everyone. Your responsibility is to continue becoming someone whose value cannot be ignored. There will also be moments when you are tempted to settle, to accept less than you are capable of, to lower your standards because growth feels difficult. Resist that temptation. Never confuse humility with settling for mediocrity. Humility means remaining teachable. Mediocrity means refusing to improve. One leads to wisdom, the other leads to regret. Know that your value is never fully defined by what someone is willing to pay you today. A paycheck reflects a current agreement. It does not determine your ultimate potential. Continue increasing your knowledge. Continue refining your skills. Continue strengthening your character. Continue becoming more dependable. As your value grows, new doors begin to open. Sometimes gradually, sometimes unexpectedly. People begin trusting you with greater responsibility. New opportunities appear. Your influence expands. Not because you chased every opportunity, but because you became someone prepared to handle them. Remember this powerful truth. Success is not something you pursue forever. At a certain point, success begins pursuing the person who has become undeniably valuable. The world is constantly searching for people who solve problems with integrity, people who keep their word, people who continue learning, people who remain disciplined when others become distracted, people who choose excellence even when average effort would be accepted. Become that person. Do not waste your life wishing for greater rewards while neglecting the person capable of earning them. Build your value every single day. Protect your integrity. Strengthen your discipline. Sharpen your skills. Expand your wisdom. Serve others with excellence. And never settle for less than the potential that has been placed within you. Because the greatest investment you can ever make is becoming someone whose value continues to grow long after circumstances change. When you know your value, build your value, and refuse to stop growing, you no longer spend your life begging for opportunities. You become the kind of person opportunities are searching for. And that is the moment you truly stop working for free. If you're tired of giving your life to things that never reward your effort, subscribe today and start investing in the one future that truly belongs to you. Because 5 years from now, you'll either thank yourself or regret every hour you kept giving away for free. Growth is often misunderstood. Most people believe that becoming better means constantly adding something new. They search for another book to read, another course to take, another strategy to learn, another opportunity to chase, or another habit to develop. While all of those things can be valuable, they overlook one of the greatest principles of transformation. Sometimes your life changes more because of what you remove than because of what you add. Imagine trying to fill a glass that already contains dirty water. You can continue pouring fresh water into it, but until the contaminated water is emptied, the glass will never be completely clean. The same principle applies to your life. You can keep adding knowledge, motivation, and ambition, but if old habits, limiting beliefs, destructive attitudes, and unhealthy influences remain, they continue contaminating your progress. Growth is not simply an act of addition, it is also an act of elimination. This truth appears throughout every area of life. A gardener does not create a healthy tree by watering alone. They also prune dead branches. They remove what no longer serves the tree so that healthy growth can flourish. At first glance, pruning looks destructive. Branches are cut away. Parts of the tree are removed. Yet every experienced gardener understands that pruning is an act of wisdom, not harm. The tree becomes stronger because unnecessary growth no longer steals its energy. Your life requires the same courage. There are habits that once served you, but now limit you. There are beliefs that once protected you, but now imprison you. There are routines that feel familiar, but quietly prevent progress. There are influences that slowly drain your confidence, your focus, and your peace of mind. As long as these remain, meaningful growth becomes more difficult. Many people believe they lack potential, when in reality, they are simply carrying too much unnecessary weight. Think about climbing a mountain. Two people may possess equal strength. One climbs, carrying only the essentials. The other fills their backpack with rocks. Every step becomes heavier. Every mile becomes harder. Eventually, exhaustion arrives. Not because the mountain is impossible, but because the burden is unnecessary. Many people live exactly this way. They carry resentment from years ago. They carry fear of failure. They carry guilt over mistakes they cannot change. They carry the opinions of people who stopped believing in them long ago. They carry constant comparison. They carry excuses that have become comfortable companions. And then they wonder why moving forward feels so difficult. The issue is often not a lack of ability. It is the presence of unnecessary weight. One of the greatest barriers to growth is believing that everything familiar deserves to remain. Familiarity creates comfort. Comfort creates attachment. Attachment makes letting go difficult. Even when something is unhealthy, people often cling to it simply because it is known. A limiting belief repeated for years begins to feel like truth. A destructive habit practiced long enough begins to feel normal. An unhealthy relationship maintained over time begins to feel necessary. But familiar does not always mean beneficial. Sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is recognizing that what brought you this far may not be capable of taking you further. Every new season requires new choices. Every higher level requires greater discipline. Every meaningful transformation demands that something be left behind. This is why courage is such an important part of growth. It takes courage to release old identities. It takes courage to admit that certain habits no longer belong in your life. It takes courage to stop blaming circumstances. It takes courage to walk away from environments that constantly pull you backward. Growth asks difficult questions. What thought patterns are keeping you small? What excuses have become permanent residents in your mind? What daily behaviors quietly contradict the future you say you want? What relationships consistently drain your energy instead of strengthening your purpose? The answers may not always be comfortable, but honesty creates freedom. You cannot remove what you refuse to identify. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. Once you recognize what is holding you back, the next step is intentional action. Do not attempt to change everything overnight. Transformation is rarely built through dramatic moments. It is built through consistent decisions. If distraction is stealing your focus, reduce it one choice at a time. If negative thinking dominates your mind, replace it with intentional learning and constructive thoughts. If unhealthy habits control your routine, establish one better habit to take their place. Removal without replacement often leaves a void. Replace weakness with strength. Replace fear with action. Replace excuses with responsibility. Replace doubt with preparation. Another important truth is that removing obstacles often reveals potential that was already there. Many people spend years searching for confidence. In reality, confidence was hidden beneath layers of fear. Others search endlessly for motivation. What they truly needed was freedom from distraction. Some seek better opportunities. What they actually required was the discipline to recognize and pursue the opportunities already surrounding them. Potential rarely disappears. It becomes buried beneath unnecessary weight. That is why elimination is so powerful. You are not becoming someone entirely new. You are uncovering the person you were capable of becoming all along. There will always be things competing for your attention. Some will appear harmless. Some will even seem enjoyable. But remember this, not everything that entertains you is helping you. Not everything that feels comfortable is strengthening you. Not everything that is familiar deserves to remain. Every day you have a choice. Carry what weakens you or release what limits you. Because every burden you remove creates room for something greater. More clarity, more discipline, more confidence, more purpose, more purpose. Your future does not depend only on what you choose to add. It depends just as much on what you finally decide to leave behind. The strongest version of yourself is not created by collecting everything life offers. It is created by having the wisdom to remove everything that no longer belongs. And often that single decision, to let go of what is holding you back, is the moment real growth finally begins. Every person carries something through life. Some carry dreams, some carry purpose, some carry hope. But many people also carry burdens they were never meant to hold for so long. These burdens are often invisible. They cannot be seen by others, yet they influence every decision, every opportunity, and every step forward. They quietly drain energy, delay progress, and keep people from becoming the person they are capable of becoming. The tragedy is that many have carried these burdens for so long that they mistake them for part part of their identity. They believe this is just who I am, but it is not who they are. It is simply what they have continued to carry. Every unnecessary burden delays your destiny. Imagine watching a marathon runner begin a race wearing a heavy backpack filled with bricks. The runner may possess incredible strength, determination, and endurance, but every mile becomes more difficult than it needs to be. Meanwhile, another runner with similar ability moves more freely because they are carrying only what is necessary. The difference is not talent. The difference is weight. Life works much the same way. Many people are trying to reach extraordinary destinations while carrying emotional, mental, and spiritual burdens that make every step harder. Some carry the weight of old failures. They allow mistakes from years ago to define every new opportunity. Instead of seeing each day as a fresh beginning, they keep replaying old disappointments, believing that yesterday's failure predicts tomorrow's outcome. But a mistake is an event, not an identity. It may teach you, but it should never imprison you. Others carry the burden of fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of uncertainty. Fear has an interesting way of making imagined problems feel more real than actual possibilities. It convinces people not to apply for the opportunity, not to start the business, not to have the difficult conversation, not to pursue the dream. They remain trapped, not because the door was locked, but because fear convinced them never to try the handle. Then there is the burden of procrastination. Procrastination is dangerous because it disguises itself as patience. It whispers, tomorrow will be a better time, when you're more confident, when conditions improve, when life becomes less busy. But tomorrow has a way of becoming next week. Next week becomes next year. Before long, years have passed, and the life you hope to build remains only an idea. Time never pauses while you prepare. It continues moving whether you act or not. Another burden many people carry is the need for constant approval. This burden silently steals freedom. When every decision depends on someone else's opinion, you stop living your life and begin managing other people's expectations. You hesitate before taking bold steps because you're worried about criticism. You silence your ideas because you're afraid they may not be accepted. Eventually, you become a prisoner of opinions that may not even matter in the long run. Approval is comforting. Purpose is transforming. You cannot follow both when they point in opposite directions. Comparison is another unnecessary burden. We live in a world where it is easier than ever to measure your life against someone else's highlight reel. You see their success, their achievements, their victories, and you begin questioning your own journey. What you rarely see are their struggles, failures, sacrifices, and years of unseen effort. Comparison creates discouragement because it asks you to judge your beginning against someone else's middle or even their finish. It distracts you from your own assignment and convinces you that someone else's path should become your standard. But your destiny was never designed to look exactly like anyone else's. You have your own road, your own pace, your own season. Another hidden burden is resentment. Holding on to anger feels like carrying a burning coal in your own hand while hoping someone else gets burned. Resentment consumes emotional energy that could be invested in growth. It keeps your attention chained to the past instead of allowing it to build the future. Forgiveness is not always about excusing what happened. Often, it is about refusing to let the past continue controlling your future. Every unnecessary burden steals something valuable. Fear steals courage. Excuses steal responsibility. Distractions steal focus. Comparison steals joy. Resentment steals peace. Procrastination steals time. Approval seeking steals authenticity. Negative thinking steals confidence. One by one, these burdens quietly delay the future you were meant to create. The encouraging truth is this: you are not required to carry them forever. Just because you've carried something for years does not mean it belongs in the next chapter of your life. You have the power to put it down. Not all at once, not perfectly, but intentionally. Every time you replace an excuse with action, the load becomes lighter. Every time you replace fear with courage, you move more freely. Every time you choose discipline over delay, another burden falls away. Every time you forgive, let go, and move forward, you create room for peace and progress. This is what real freedom looks like. It is not the absence of challenges. It is the absence of unnecessary weight. Life will always present enough genuine responsibilities. You do not need to add imaginary ones by carrying old failures, limiting beliefs, and destructive habits into every new season. Ask yourself honestly, What burden am I still carrying that no longer serves me? What fear has become heavier than my purpose? What excuse has become more comfortable than my dream? What distraction is quietly costing me the future I say I want? Those questions require courage, but the answers can change your life. Because destiny is not only about how far you are willing to walk. It is also about what you are finally willing to stop carrying. The lighter your spirit, the clearer your vision. The clearer your vision, the stronger your focus. And the stronger your focus, the closer you move toward the life that has been waiting for you all along. Just beyond the burdens you finally chose to leave behind. One of the most powerful words in the human vocabulary is not yes. It is no. At first, that may seem surprising. We are often taught to think of success as saying yes to opportunities, to growth, to dreams, and to possibility. Those things certainly matter. But what many people fail to realize is that every meaningful yes in life is protected by 1,000 intentional no's. You cannot say yes to a healthy body while saying yes to every unhealthy habit. You cannot say yes to financial freedom while saying yes to reckless spending. You cannot say yes to peace of mind while saying yes to constant negativity. You cannot say yes to greatness while saying yes to every distraction that demands your attention. Every worthwhile achievement asks a simple question: what are you willing to leave behind? This is the true meaning of discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is not restriction. It is not about making life smaller. Discipline is the ability to choose what matters most over what feels good right now. It is the wisdom to understand that every decision carries a cost. Every yes automatically creates a no. If you say yes to sleeping an extra hour, you may be saying no to personal growth. If you say yes to endless entertainment, you may be saying no to learning a valuable skill. If you say yes to avoiding difficult conversations, you may be saying no to stronger relationships. If you say yes to comfort every day, you may be saying no to the future you dream about. Life is constantly asking you to make these exchanges, whether you realize it or not. Many people believe successful individuals possess extraordinary willpower. While determination certainly plays a role, what often separates them is something much simpler. They have become skilled at protecting their priorities. They understand that focus is impossible without boundaries. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with water while leaving several holes in the bottom. You can continue pouring more and more into it, but most of it will disappear before it serves its purpose. That bucket is much like your time and energy. Every unnecessary commitment, every distraction, every unhealthy habit, every pointless argument, every hour spent comparing yourself to others. These are holes draining the very resources you need to build your future. Discipline begins when you decide to close those holes, one by one. It is easy to believe that saying no means missing out. In reality, saying no to the wrong things is what allows you to fully experience the right things. Consider an athlete preparing for a championship. While others spend evenings relaxing, they train. While others indulge every craving, they follow a disciplined routine. While others seek comfort, they embrace discomfort. From the outside, some people see sacrifice. The athlete sees investment. They understand that temporary discipline creates lasting rewards. The same principle applies to every area of life. An entrepreneur says no to immediate comfort in order to build long-term freedom. A student says no to constant distraction in order to develop valuable knowledge. A parent says no to selfishness in order to create a stronger family. A leader says no to shortcuts in order to earn lasting trust. Every extraordinary life is built upon ordinary moments of self-control. One reason people struggle with discipline is because they focus only on what they are giving up. They think about the entertainment they are missing, the comfort they are sacrificing, the convenience they are leaving behind. What they fail to consider is what they are gaining. Every disciplined decision purchases something valuable. Saying no to procrastination buys momentum. Saying no to fear buys opportunity. Saying no to excuses buys responsibility. Saying no to distractions buys focus. Saying no to negativity buys peace. Saying no to comfort buys growth. Suddenly, discipline no longer feels like loss. It becomes one of the greatest investments you can make. Another important truth is that discipline creates freedom. This seems backward at first. Many people believe freedom means doing whatever they feel like doing. But feelings change from day to day. If your life is controlled by every passing emotion, you are not truly free. You are simply being led by impulse. Real freedom comes from self-mastery. The person who controls their habits experiences more freedom than the person controlled by their habits. The person who manages their finances enjoys greater freedom than the person controlled by debt. The person who disciplines their mind experiences more peace than the person ruled by constant worry. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the pathway to it. Every great builder understands that constructing something valuable requires removing unnecessary materials. Every sculptor creates beauty by chiseling away excess stone. The masterpiece appears not because more is added, but because what doesn't belong is removed. Your life follows the same pattern. There are habits that no longer belong, conversations that no longer deserve your energy, excuses that no longer deserve your attention, beliefs that no longer deserve your trust. Success often requires subtraction before it requires addition. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it becomes easier with practice. The first no may feel difficult. The second becomes slightly easier. Over time, your identity begins to change. You no longer see yourself as someone who constantly gives into comfort. You become someone who keeps promises, someone who protects priorities, someone who acts according to purpose rather than impulse. And identity changes everything. Because once discipline becomes part of who you are, difficult decisions become simpler. You stop negotiating with every temptation. You stop waiting for motivation. You simply choose what aligns with the future you are building. At the end of the day, every person is creating tomorrow through today's decisions. Every yes shapes your future. Every no protects it. The question is not whether you will make sacrifices. You already are. The only question is whether your sacrifices are leading you toward the life you truly want. Choose wisely. Say no to what weakens you. Say no to what distracts you. Say no to what delays you. Because every courageous no is making room for a far more meaningful yes. And often, the life you've been praying for begins the moment you stop saying yes to the things that have been standing in its way. Every meaningful transformation begins with a decision that feels uncomfortable. Not because it is the wrong decision, but because growth rarely asks you to stay where you are. It asks you to leave behind what is familiar so you can step into what is possible. This is one of life's greatest paradoxes. The future you desire often waits on the other side of a choice you have been avoiding. Many people pray for change while protecting the very habits that prevent it. They dream about a better life, yet they refuse to release the routines that keep them stuck. They hope for stronger relationships while avoiding honest conversations. They want financial freedom while continuing careless spending. They long for confidence while refusing to face the fears that keep them small. The breakthrough does not arrive because you wish for it. It arrives because you become willing to make the difficult decision that creates it. Think about standing at the edge of a bridge. Behind you is everything familiar: your routines, your excuses, your comfort zone, your predictable life. Ahead of you is uncertainty. You cannot fully see what is waiting on the other side. All you know is that staying where you are guarantees more of the same. Crossing that bridge requires courage, not because you know every detail of the future, but because you finally understand that remaining where you are has become more painful than moving forward. Every successful person reaches this point. There comes a day when they stop negotiating with themselves. They stop saying, maybe tomorrow. They stop waiting for perfect conditions. They stop expecting motivation to magically appear. Instead, they decide. And that single decision begins changing everything. The remarkable thing about difficult decisions is that they often feel much heavier before you make them than after you make them. Fear has a way of exaggerating uncertainty. It convinces you that failure is inevitable, that you're not ready, that the timing is wrong, or that the risk is too great. But once you take the first step, something changes. You discover that courage grows through action, not before it. Confidence follows commitment. Strength follows resistance. Wisdom follows experience. This is why waiting to feel completely ready is one of the greatest traps in life. Very few people ever feel completely prepared. The entrepreneur does not feel entirely ready before launching. The speaker does not feel fearless before stepping onto the stage. The athlete does not eliminate every doubt before competing. The leader does not possess every answer before accepting responsibility. They simply decide that progress is more important than perfection. One of the hardest decisions many people face is letting go of an old identity. For years, they have told themselves certain stories. I'm just not disciplined. I'm not smart enough. I've always been this way. I never finish what I start. Those stories become comfortable because they are familiar, but they are also prisons. As long as you continue believing them, your actions will unconsciously support them. Real transformation begins when you challenge those old identities, not with empty affirmations, but with new actions. Every disciplined decision action becomes evidence that you are changing. Every courageous step weakens the old story. Every promise you keep to yourself builds a new identity. Eventually, the person you once believed yourself to be no longer exists. Another difficult decision many people avoid is walking away from what no longer serves them. Sometimes it is a habit. Sometimes it is a toxic relationship. Sometimes it is a destructive environment. Sometimes it is a comfortable routine that quietly limits growth. Letting go is painful because familiar things often feel safe. Even unhealthy familiarity can seem less frightening than healthy uncertainty. But comfort has a hidden cost. It slowly convinces you to accept less than your potential. Growth always asks a question. Are you willing to trade temporary comfort for lasting fulfillment? The answer to that question determines the direction of your life. History is filled with people whose lives changed because they made one courageous decision, not hundreds. One decision to begin, one decision to forgive, one decision to quit making excuses, one decision to return to school, one decision to leave an unhealthy situation, one decision to pursue a dream, one decision to become responsible. Great transformations often begin quietly. They begin in an ordinary moment that nobody else notices. A person simply decides that enough is enough. And from that moment forward, every small action starts aligning with that decision. Momentum begins to build. Character begins to strengthen. Opportunities begin to appear. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because the person changed. This is another important truth. The breakthrough you seek is often less about changing your circumstances and more about changing yourself. Circumstances respond differently when you do. People trust you differently. Opportunities look different. Challenges feel different because your perspective has changed. There will always be reasons to delay difficult decisions. Fear will offer them. Comfort will defend them. Excuses will justify them. But every day you postpone the necessary decision, you also postpone the future attached to it. Time continues moving. Life continues unfolding. The question is whether you will continue carrying yesterday into tomorrow or finally choose a different direction. You do not need every answer before taking the first step. You do not need complete certainty. You do not need perfect confidence. You simply need the courage to act on what you already know is right. Because deep down, most people already know the decision they need to make. They know the habit that must end. They know the excuse that must disappear. They know the conversation that must happen. They know the fear that must be faced. The issue is rarely a lack of knowledge. It is a lack of action. Today can become the turning point, not because everything suddenly becomes easy, but because you finally choose what is necessary over what is comfortable. Remember this, the life you dream about is not separated from you by luck. It is often separated by one difficult decision. Make that decision. Stand by it. Follow it with consistent action. And one day you'll look back and realize that the moment you feared the most became the moment that gave you everything you had been hoping to find. Because the greatest breakthroughs are rarely found in places of comfort. They are discovered on the other side of the difficult decisions you finally had the courage to make. If you're tired of carrying burdens that are costing you the life you deserve, subscribe today and make this your line in the sand. Because 1 year from now, you'll either be grateful you let go, or you'll still be dragging the same chains you refuse to cut. People celebrate the visible victory while remaining unaware of the invisible journey that made it possible. This is why one of the greatest lessons you can ever learn is this. The greatest victories are won in private long before they are seen in public. Every extraordinary achievement begins where very few people are willing to stay, in the quiet. It begins in the moments when no one is watching, when there are no cameras, no applause, no recognition, no audience. Just you, your commitment, and the decision to keep going. That is where greatness is built. Unfortunately, many people have become addicted to visible progress. They want immediate recognition, instant validation, quick results. If their effort is not noticed quickly enough, they begin questioning whether the effort is worthwhile. But true growth has never depended on public attention. It has always depended on private discipline. Think about the strongest foundations of the tallest buildings. Nobody celebrates the foundation. No one gathers to admire the concrete buried beneath the ground. Yet without that invisible structure, everything above it eventually collapses. The foundation carries the weight of the visible success. Your private habits work the same way. Every early morning, every difficult decision, Every page you read, every skill you practice, every promise you keep, every distraction you resist. These are the foundations of the future you are building. The remarkable thing is that while these actions often appear ordinary, together they create extraordinary lives. Most people never witness this part of success because it is intentionally quiet. No audience sees the hours of study. No applause follows disciplined choices. No headlines announce another day of consistency. Yet those moments matter more than the moments everyone eventually notices. Success is rarely created in the spotlight. The spotlight simply reveals what has already been built. Imagine watching an accomplished musician perform on stage. The audience hears beautiful music. They admire the confidence, the precision, the excellence. What they do not see are the thousands of hours spent practicing alone, the mistakes, the repetitions, the frustration, the moments when improvement seemed painfully slow. The performance lasts an hour. The preparation lasted years. The same pattern appears in every meaningful achievement. Athletes train in empty gyms. Authors write alone. Entrepreneurs solve problems long before customers arrive. Leaders develop character before people choose to follow them. Everything valuable begins in private. One reason people abandon the quiet work is because they mistake silence for failure. When recognition does not come quickly, they assume nothing is happening. When results appear slowly, they lose confidence. When others fail to notice their effort, they begin believing the effort has no value. But silence does not mean stagnation. In fact, some of the most important growth happens where no one can see it. Consider a seed planted beneath the soil. For days, perhaps even weeks, nothing appears above the surface. Someone unfamiliar with growth might assume nothing is happening. Yet beneath the ground, roots are spreading. Strength is developing. Life is preparing itself for what eventually becomes visible. If the seed demanded immediate visibility, it would never become a tree. Your personal growth follows the same pattern. The habits you build today are creating roots. Your discipline is strengthening your foundation. Your consistency is preparing you for opportunities that have not yet arrived. The work feels quiet because preparation usually happens before promotion. Many people dream about receiving greater opportunities, a promotion, a leadership role, a successful business, financial freedom, greater influence. But opportunities often arrive after preparation, not before it. Life has a way of testing whether you are ready for what you are asking to receive. The quiet season is often that preparation. Every challenge teaches resilience. Every disciplined choice develops character. Every difficult day strengthens perseverance. These qualities cannot be purchased. They cannot be borrowed. They must be earned through consistent effort. One of the greatest dangers is comparing your invisible preparation to someone else's visible success. Comparison creates discouragement because you are measuring different stages of different journeys. You see someone's achievement. You rarely see their years of unseen effort. You notice the result. You miss the process. That misunderstanding causes many people to quit just before their own breakthrough. Instead of focusing on applause, focus on improvement. Instead of chasing recognition, pursue excellence. Recognition is unpredictable. Growth is always available. Another remarkable truth about private victories is that they change you long before they change your circumstances. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, confidence grows. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, character grows. Every time you continue despite discouragement, resilience grows. These internal victories often matter more than external achievements. Because external success can disappear, character remains, skills remain, discipline remains. The person you become through quiet work is capable of creating success repeatedly. That is far more valuable than experiencing one fortunate moment. There will be days when nobody notices your effort. Keep working. There will be weeks when progress feels invisible. Keep working. There will be seasons when you question whether your commitment matters. Keep working. Not because applause is guaranteed, but because every disciplined day is shaping the person you are becoming. And ultimately, that is the greatest reward. One day, people may admire your success. They may compliment your confidence. They may celebrate your achievements. Some may even describe your progress as sudden or effortless. Smile quietly, because you will remember the truth. You will remember the mornings that began before everyone else was awake, the evenings when you kept going after others had stopped, the sacrifices that no one witnessed, the decisions that nobody applauded, the quiet work that nobody recognized. Those unseen moments were not insignificant. insignificant. They were the birthplace of every visible victory that followed. Because the greatest victories are never won in front of the crowd. They are won in the silent moments when no one is watching. But you choose excellence anyway. Progress has a way of testing your faith before it rewards your effort. One of the greatest reasons people abandon their dreams is not because they lack ability, intelligence, or opportunity. It is because they mistake invisible progress for no progress. They work hard for a while, look around for immediate results, and when they cannot see dramatic change, they quietly convince themselves that nothing is happening. That belief has buried countless dreams. The truth is that some of the most important growth in life happens long before your eyes can recognize it. Progress is often invisible until it becomes impossible to ignore. Think about nature for a moment. When a farmer plants a seed, nothing extraordinary seems to happen the next morning. The field looks almost exactly the same. A week later, there may still be little visible evidence that anything has changed. Someone with no understanding of growth might conclude that the seed has failed. But beneath the surface, something remarkable is taking place. Roots are pushing deeper into the soil. Life is forming where no one can see it. Strength is developing before height appears. The seed is not inactive simply because it is invisible. It is preparing. Your life often follows that same pattern. Every book you read is adding another layer of knowledge, even if you cannot immediately measure it. Every workout strengthens your body, even before the mirror reflects the change. Every disciplined choice builds your character, even before others recognize it. Every difficult conversation improves your confidence, even before you notice how much you've grown. Growth begins internally before it becomes externally visible. Unfortunately, we live in a world that celebrates immediate results. People post achievements, promotions, victories, and milestones. Rarely do they share the months or years of uncertainty that came before those moments. Rarely do they show the mornings when nothing seemed to be working. Rarely do they reveal the evenings filled with doubt, repetition, and persistence. Because of this, many people begin comparing their invisible progress to someone else's visible success. That comparison creates frustration, it creates impatience, it creates discouragement, but it is based on an incomplete picture. Every meaningful achievement has a hidden season. The public usually sees the harvest. Very few witness the planting. One of the greatest mistakes you can make is believing that visible progress is the only kind of progress that matters. Some of the most valuable transformations happen where no one can see them. Your thinking begins changing. Your discipline becomes stronger. Your patience increases. Your perspective expands. Your confidence quietly grows. These internal changes may not earn applause today, but they are preparing you for opportunities tomorrow. Character develops in silence. Wisdom develops in silence. Resilience develops in silence. And these qualities often become the reason long-term success is possible. Consider the process of learning a new skill. At first, improvement feels painfully slow. The mistakes are obvious. The progress is difficult to notice. You wonder if all the effort is worth it. Then one day, something surprising happens. Tasks that once seemed impossible begin feeling natural. What once required enormous concentration becomes automatic. Others notice your ability and assume you have natural talent. They see today's performance. They do not see yesterday's persistence. The breakthrough appears sudden. In reality, it was built through countless invisible improvements. This is how progress usually works. Small gains accumulate quietly until they reach a point where everyone can finally see what has been happening all along. The challenge is remaining faithful during the invisible stage. Most people quit because they become emotionally attached to immediate outcomes. They believe motivation should always feel exciting. They expect every effort to produce instant rewards. When those rewards fail to appear quickly, disappointment replaces commitment. But discipline is built on a different foundation. Discipline understands that today's actions are investments. Not every investment pays immediately. Some require time, some require patience, some require trust. The greatest rewards often belong to those willing to continue working when evidence is limited. This principle applies to every area of life. A relationship grows stronger through hundreds of ordinary conversations. Trust is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built through consistent honesty, reliability, and care. Financial stability grows through repeated wise decisions. A single budget does not create wealth. Years of intentional choices do. Health improves through countless healthy meals, regular movement, and proper rest. No single workout changes your body. The accumulation does. Everything valuable compounds over time. That is why patience Patience is not passive. Patience is active trust. It is the decision to continue planting even when the harvest has not yet arrived. It is the willingness to keep improving even when recognition is delayed. It is the commitment to continue showing up because you understand that today's invisible effort is creating tomorrow's visible success. Another important truth is that invisible progress changes you before it changes your circumstances. You become more disciplined, more dependable, more focused, more resilient. These qualities shape your identity, and identity influences everything you do. Success becomes more likely because you have become the type of person capable of sustaining it. That transformation is far more valuable than quick results. Quick success without strong character often disappears. Slow growth with deep character creates lasting success. There will be seasons when you question yourself, days when your effort seems unnoticed, weeks when progress feels painfully slow. Those moments do not mean you are failing. They often mean you are growing. Do not let temporary silence convince you that permanent progress is impossible. Keep reading, keep learning, keep practicing, keep improving, keep showing up. The roots are growing. The foundation is strengthening. The momentum is building. One day, the progress that seemed invisible will become impossible to ignore. People will notice your confidence, your wisdom, your discipline, your success. Some will wonder how it happened so quickly. Only you will know the truth. You will remember the quiet days when nothing seemed to be changing. You will remember choosing consistency over comfort. You will remember believing in the process before there was proof. And you will realize that progress was never absent. It was simply happening where it mattered most, beneath the surface, quietly preparing you for the moment when your growth could no longer be hidden. There are two versions of every person. One is the version the world sees. The other is the version that exists when no one is watching. The first version is shaped by public moments, conversations, presentations, achievements, appearances, and accomplishments. The second version is shaped by private moments, those quiet decisions made behind closed doors, when there is no applause to earn, no recognition to receive, and no audience to impress. The remarkable truth is that the second version always creates the first. Your character is not revealed when life is easy or when everyone is watching. It is forged in the ordinary moments that no one celebrates. It is built when you choose discipline over comfort, integrity over convenience, and consistency over excuses, even though no one else may ever know you made those choices. This is where greatness begins. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy trying to manage how they appear to others. They want to look successful, confident, disciplined, and capable. There is nothing wrong with wanting to make a positive impression, but appearances can only carry a person so far. Eventually, life exposes what is genuine. Pressure has a way of revealing character. When challenges arise, titles cannot save you. Recognition cannot save you. Reputation cannot save you. Only character remains. That is why private discipline is so valuable. Every decision you make when no one is watching becomes another brick in the foundation of who you are becoming. Imagine two people preparing for the same opportunity. One practices only when others are present. The other practices every day, whether anyone notices or not. One works hard only when recognition is possible. The other works hard because excellence has become a personal standard. At first, there may appear to be little difference between them, but when the moment of testing arrives, the difference becomes undeniable. The first person depends on performance. The second person depends on preparation. Preparation almost always wins. Life rewards the work that was done long before the opportunity appeared. One reason so many people struggle with consistency is because they have attached their effort to external validation. They work hard when someone is watching. They stay disciplined when praise is likely. They become productive when recognition is available. But the moment the audience disappears, so does their commitment. This creates a dangerous habit. It teaches the mind that effort only has value when someone else notices it. True character rejects that belief. Character understands that the right thing remains the right thing, even if no one applauds it. Integrity means honoring your standards when breaking them would be easier. Discipline means following through even when no one checks your progress. Excellence means giving your best effort, even when average effort would go unnoticed. These qualities cannot be manufactured in public. They are developed privately. Think about a craftsman creating a masterpiece. Many hours are spent sanding, measuring, correcting, refining, and improving details that most people will never notice. Someone focused only on appearances might skip those hidden details. After all, who would know? But the true craftsman knows. And that knowledge shapes the quality of the final work. Your life is no different. The conversations no one hears, the habits no one sees, the promises you either keep or break with yourself, the decisions you make when no one is present. These moments are quietly shaping your future. Every private victory strengthens your identity. Every time you wake up when you promised you would, you reinforce discipline. Every time you choose learning over distraction, you reinforce growth. Every time you keep working despite a lack of recognition, you reinforce perseverance. Those actions become evidence. Your mind begins believing what your actions repeatedly demonstrate. You no longer simply hope to become disciplined. You become someone who is disciplined. You no longer merely wish to become trustworthy. You become someone who consistently earns trust. Identity grows through repeated behavior. That is why private choices matter so much. Another reason character is forged in unseen moments is because life eventually places everyone in situations where talent alone is not enough. Talent may open a door. Character determines whether you remain inside the room. Skill may create an opportunity. Integrity determines whether people continue trusting you. Knowledge may earn respect. Discipline determines whether you continue growing. Many promising careers have ended because character failed to support talent. Many ordinary people have achieved extraordinary success because character consistently supported their ability. Character sustains what talent begins. The beautiful thing about character is that it cannot be taken away by circumstances. Money can disappear. Positions can change, recognition can fade, but honesty remains, courage remains, discipline remains, humility remains, wisdom remains. These qualities become permanent assets because they belong to who you are, not merely to what you possess. That is why the quiet work of developing character is one of the greatest investments you can ever make. There will be days when nobody notices your effort. Continue. There will be moments when cutting corners seems easier. Choose integrity. There will be opportunities to settle for less than your best. Choose excellence. Not because someone is watching, but because you are becoming someone worth trusting. Eventually, the private person and the public person become one. There is no performance, no pretending, no need to impress. Your actions naturally reflect your character because your character has been strengthened through years of quiet decisions. People may admire your confidence, your leadership, your wisdom, or your success. They will see the visible result. What they may never fully understand is that those qualities were not built on stages or in moments of applause. They were built in early mornings when you chose discipline over comfort, in difficult seasons when you refused to quit, in lonely moments when you remained faithful to your values, in ordinary days when no one noticed your effort. Those were the moments that shaped you. Because the person you become when no one is watching is ultimately the person the world will meet when the opportunity finally arrives. And by then, your character will not need to announce itself. It will speak through every decision you make, every challenge you overcome, and every life you influence. Every great achievement begins long before anyone calls it a success. It begins with a decision, a quiet, often unnoticed decision to commit to a process. Long before the harvest fills the fields, someone plants a seed. Long before a building touches the sky, someone digs a foundation. Long before a masterpiece is admired, someone sits alone, practicing, learning, failing, improving, and trying again. This is the rhythm of life. The seed always comes before the harvest. The process always comes before the reward. Yet many people fall in love with outcomes while losing patience with the journey that produces them. They dream about success. They imagine recognition. They picture the destination. But somewhere along the way, they grow frustrated with the daily work that makes those dreams possible. The problem is not that they lack desire. Most people deeply desire a better life. The problem is that they underestimate the importance of staying committed when progress feels slow. Commitment is easy when results arrive quickly. Anyone can remain excited when every effort produces immediate rewards. The real test begins when the work continues, but the visible evidence does not. That is where many people stop planting. They begin questioning whether the effort is worth it. They wonder if they are wasting their time. They compare their progress to others and assume they have fallen behind. Without realizing it, they abandon the process just before the harvest begins to grow. Life has a remarkable incredible way of rewarding consistency rather than intensity. A single day of extraordinary effort cannot replace months of faithful discipline. One workout does not create strength. One healthy meal does not transform your health. One productive afternoon does not build a successful career. Great lives are built through repeated acts of faithfulness. Small actions, repeated consistently, performed with purpose. That is how seeds become forests. Every discipline habit you practice is a seed. Every page you read is a seed. Every difficult conversation you choose to have is a seed. Every promise you keep to yourself is a seed. Every hour spent learning instead of complaining is a seed. Every sacrifice made for a greater future is another seed placed into the soil of your life. The beautiful thing about seeds is that they contain far more potential than their appearance suggests. A single seed looks small, almost insignificant, yet hidden inside it is the possibility of something much greater. Your daily disciplines work the same way. An extra 30 minutes of learning may not seem important today. Saving a little money may not feel life-changing this week. Choosing patience over anger may appear like a small victory, but these moments carry hidden potential. They are shaping the future in ways you cannot yet fully see. One reason people become discouraged is because they expect the harvest to appear immediately after planting. But nature teaches patience. No farmer plants a field in the morning and expects crops by sunset. Growth requires time. Roots must develop. Seasons must pass. Conditions must mature. The harvest comes only after consistent care. Personal growth follows the same principle. There are seasons of preparation, seasons of learning, seasons of discipline, seasons of waiting. None of these seasons are wasted. Each one contributes to what eventually becomes visible. The challenge is remaining faithful while the process is still unfolding. Many people quit because they mistake waiting for failure. They believe silence means nothing is happening. But silence often means something important is developing beneath the surface. Confidence is growing. Wisdom is growing. Discipline is growing. Character is growing. These qualities cannot be rushed. They mature through repetition. Another powerful truth is that the process changes you long before it changes your circumstances. You begin the journey hoping for better results. Along the way, you become a better person. You become more patient because the process requires patience. You become more disciplined because the process demands consistency. You become more resilient because the process includes setbacks. You become more humble because growth reminds you there is always more to learn. These internal transformations are often the greatest reward of all, because success is difficult to sustain without the character developed during the process. Many people pray for greater opportunities, larger responsibilities, more influence, greater success. But few realize that the process is preparing them to carry those blessings wisely. Without preparation, success can become overwhelming. Without discipline, opportunity can be wasted. Without character, achievement can become temporary. The process protects you by preparing you. This is why comparison is so dangerous. When you compare your field to someone else's harvest, you become discouraged. You forget that every field has its own season. Summer planting, summer watering, summer waiting, summer harvesting. Your responsibility is not to manage someone else's timeline. Your responsibility is to remain faithful to your own. Keep planting, keep watering, keep learning, keep growing, keep improving. Trust that faithful effort is never wasted. One day, the harvest will arrive. Not because of luck, not because everything suddenly became easy, but because you refused to abandon the process. People may call it an overnight success. They may assume you were fortunate. They may admire the harvest without understanding the years of planting that came before it. Let them. You will know the truth. You will remember the quiet mornings, the difficult choices, the repeated disciplines, the sacrifices no one noticed, the moments when quitting seemed easier than continuing. Those were the days that truly mattered, because every seed you planted was shaping a future you could not yet see. Every act of discipline was preparing a reward that had not yet arrived. Every quiet sacrifice was building a life that one day would speak for itself. So do not become impatient with the process. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not mistake delayed results for wasted effort. The harvest has never belonged to those who plant once and walk away. It belongs to those who keep showing up, keep tending the field, keep believing when nothing seems to be happening, and keep doing the quiet work long enough for the invisible seeds to become undeniable fruit. Stay committed to the process, because the harvest always follows the seed. If you're exhausted from working hard while nobody seems to notice, subscribe today and refuse to let silent seasons steal your future. Because one day the world will celebrate what you're building now, but only if you refuse to quit before that day arrives.